I'd like you to think about these dates: 1986, 1989, 1994, 1997, and 2001. 86 was Expo 86 in Vancouver. 89 was the Tiananmen Square massacre. 94 was the Three Gorges Dam. 97 was the Hong Kong takeover of China, where the British left. And 2001 was, of course, 9/11. In light of this, I'm going to say that we're living in a pink world, where everybody's a little pink on both sides, east and west. We got pinko Canadians and Americans, and pinko Chinese still, because the 80s was wiped out. Now that's what had to have happened, because that's when these Chinese, anyone who defected and saw the United States around 1979, they thought maybe socialism doesn't work. But ever since the Clintons and so on, and the 89 problem, our culture was overthrown. Remember when Bush said New World Order, and then we got grunge? Grunge bands came in. So this article is very good, but I want to just really breeze through a couple things to save some time. We can look into the Communist Party, but I really want to just go into a couple of things here about Sun Yat-sen and about how they killed 20 million people. The 100 Flowers campaign was when he invited people to criticize the party, and then they ended up losing their jobs anyway. Then they ended up, in 58, the agrarian economy killed about 20 million people. Then later, the Cultural Revolution started in the 60s, killed as many as another 20 million people. That's 40 million people don't know about. In 1970, amid social chaos, then around there, Nixon went there. They had diplomatic relations in around 1979. Mao died around 76. Now this is where they're incorrect, because they had a pretty good time after Mao died, because Deng Xiaoping came in. By opening China to foreign investment, Deng's era led to the rapid growth of China's economy and the first steps toward the realization of major infrastructure projects, such as the Three Gorges Dam. Well, that's a lie, because the Three Gorges Dam was way after Deng Xiaoping as well. That didn't happen until 1994. After Tiananmen Square, people. After Tiananmen Square, where thousands of people were opened fire on. And after Tiananmen Square, the Clintons, who is in power, they still signed a deal for the Three Gorges Dam in 94 from 1989. Do you understand what I'm trying to say here? How dare they? Whoever that was, should never have happened. Anyway, in this swing between openness and crackdown, now what we're seeing is now we are all having this mass surveillance method. If you look at any park, the way that they are having all their highways and roads and the big lights monitoring everybody, it's like we are like living in communist China. All of our little parks have these big, huge gates on them, and everything is we are already living in hell. But I wanted to make, anyway, there's just this forever purge, and then this goes on to talk about how people have just suffered like crazy, not able to sleep for 5 days and nights, and some people not able to sleep for 15 days and nights if they criticize the CCP. And of course they really target the intellectuals. It's the opposite of how they should have done, and most were just reformed out of torture. And of course they use many, many ways of torture. So this is a very important article to understand between our times. I'm not talking even about the 60s. I'm talking about 1986 only. Everybody was alive here then. and 2001. So what we're seeing is right after Tiananmen Square, they built the Three Gorges Dam in 1994 to create this really bad economy. And now the Chinese don't realize that they're all still, the only way to rule is through lies. That's what it is. So everybody's a liar. Now how do you deal with lies? You can't. You cannot begin on the premise of lies of anything. And so now all these young Chinese basically call themselves little pinks, because everybody's now got a cell phone in their hand, and I guess it's just like in America. Everybody's just in this place where they don't even know that they're in a kind of a hell, which is pink. And that's unsustainable. Oh, I can barely talk. This is such a disturbing article. But I would recommend anyone to read it. But like I said, there is a mistake here, because they're saying that Deng Xiaoping, his reform in the 80s, they were actually doing pretty okay in the early 80s, just like we all were. The whole world was doing pretty good around between 79 to 85, because the culture was everywhere, and everybody was, but because of this stupid Expo 86 in Vancouver, it started the mass exodus of Hong Kong, and that started the greed of 94 and 89 and what we're seeing now. So there's somebody behind it. Somebody knows somebody who's behind it. I don't know who's behind it. But it ain't natural.